Hi, I'm Morgan and today I'm going to be talking about my October TBR, which is basically just a spooky Halloween reads video. I don't know. I didn't make any notes for this. I am just going with the flow and vibing with these books and some Halloween decor. So I actually made this TBR a while ago when I was kind of getting myself sorted during the summer. I decided to take out all of my spooky Halloween mystery and horror books and set them to the side so that we didn't have a repeat of the Pride TBR where I'd already read all of the queer books that I owned and I kind of had to scramble to figure out what I was doing. So I've not touched any of these, even though I've kind of really wanted to, so that I can try and read as many of them as I can in October. So I have 7 books to talk about. I don't know whether I'm going to read them all, but I am going to try, and also this won't be the order that I read them in. The order that I'm going to show them to you will just kind of be in a size order because I didn't want to drop them everywhere and I kept dropping them everywhere. So it's really just arbitrary. The first book I have for my spooky season reads is Alice Isn't Dead by Joseph Fink. Alice Isn't Dead is the novelisation of the podcast of the same name, written by one of the creators of Welcome to Night Vale. The basics of Alice Isn't Dead is that our narrator Keisha is driving trucks across the US whilst looking for her wife Alice, who went missing, and as she says in the title, she believes is not dead. She sees Alice on the news in the background of lots of terrible things that are happening, and that's why she decides to become a long-haul trucker and go all about the country to see what she can find. In travelling the US and investigating things she thinks are related to her wife's disappearance, she finds this whole undercurrent of supernatural, creepy evil that kind of lives just below the surface of society. And I don't think I can say much more without it being semi-spoilery, but I am so excited to read this. The aesthetic of the podcast is overpowering. When you listen to it, you just feel like you're there. It's written really well, and then the narrator, Jessica Nicole, who voices Keisha, is absolutely phenomenal. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this kind of changes things slightly, because unlike some of the Welcome to Night Vale books, this is not a separate story, and it's also not a script, like bound scripts, which you can buy for the Welcome to Night Vale podcast. This is a separate thing. It's an actual novelisation of the story, and I believe it is slightly different, but I don't think it's like drastically different. It's definitely a good way to jump into spookiness and reading some horror again, because I already know the universe that it's written in and I'm familiar with Joseph Fink's writing style, and also it just looks very Halloweeny if you look at the colours and just the truck. I also match it today, so it was kind of meant to be, I guess. The next book I have to read is World War Z by Max Brooks. Now, you may have heard of this due to the fact that it kind of became a phenomenon a few years ago when the movie came out starring Brad Pitt. Had to think about that for a second. This is about zombies, which is kind of a given. And if you have been here for a minute, you will probably know that I am a big fan of zombies. So the fact that I haven't read this already is kind of disappointing. But for a while I wasn't really sure if I wanted to read it in the first place, because I really enjoyed the movie and I know that the book is a completely different format from the movie. This is kind of interviews and emails and memos and probably actually a lot more of the kind of book I would be interested in. I was just kind of scared that it would not live up to the hype for me, and I've decided I don't care and I want to read about zombies. So is some kind of zombie disease really what I should be reading about in the middle of a global pandemic? No, Am I going to do it anyway? Of course. Abby, no! Apparently that is only a stable seat for Baby Yoda. The next book I have to talk about is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. Now, I don't know a lot about this because I didn't buy it for myself. My dad, I believe, bought me it for my birthday. Well, I mean, my dad did buy me it, but I can't remember if he bought me it for my birthday or not. I think it was, but either way, it was from my dad. All I know is it's a kind of YA murder mystery. A teenage girl looks into these murders in her town or something like that. Yeah, I just looked at the back. She starts investigating a murder that took place in her town as a final project for school, and that's just hardcore. Like, I wish that was me. I love a bit of true crime, so that would definitely be me if I had confidence as a teenager, but I didn't, so. But it does look interesting. I'm looking forward to reading it. I haven't really read a lot of YA mysteries, so it'll be interesting to see if that is a genre that I enjoy. The next two books are ones I'm going to hold up at the same time because they are matching and I love it. And they are The Shining by Stephen King and Salem's Lot by Stephen King. And they're the same series, so they look pretty together. I think my Carrie book is this. Is it the Carrie book? One of my other Stephen King's is this like edition, so they're matching. So first up we have The Shining. A classic, of course, another one that I've seen the movie of. Family moves into this big haunted hotel as the caretakers, and the son has some kind of power. He's, what's it called again? His Shining, that is what it's called, isn't it? Yeah, he has the Shining. I don't know. I remember watching the movie and I enjoyed it, but I mostly enjoyed it for the aesthetics and the creepiness, not really the story. But I have heard this is a quality Stephen King book, unlike some of his others that are slightly questionable. And this one will probably be at the top of the pile. Well, second to Alice Isn't Dead because I've been wanting to read that for ages. But this will definitely be one that I am prioritising during the month of October. And then we have Salem's Lot, which is actually, the words are hidden by my fingers. I know literally nothing about this apart from the fact that it's Stephen King's take on vampires. And vampires in a small town is, you know, is an intriguing premise for me. I mean, I did read Twilight as a teenager. I guess that's something that I like. So I don't really know a lot about this and I'm not going to keep rambling on. But it is another Stephen King that I have looked forward to reading. So hopefully I'll get to this in October too. This one has a price on it. I bought it from Oxfam. Oh, this is a proof. Oh no. Oops. I'll need to keep that in mind so that I don't start judging it if there's like typos and stuff. Like, oh no, there's grammar mistakes. That's because it's a proof. In my defense, I didn't know that when I picked it up. I bought it secondhand, so oops. So this book that I have accidentally bought, even though it's technically not for resale, is The Child by Fiona Barton. I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember much about this at all. It's been on my list of books that I want to read, so clearly I read the synopsis at one point and thought it was good, or maybe someone recommended it, who knows. I believe it's about either a missing or dead child, but like years in the future, and they're looking at the story of this child. Not entirely sure. But I do love a good mystery thriller, especially like parents looking for children. I've read a few of them. Some of them are good, some of them not so much. But yeah, I think this will be a good kind of break in the horror that I plan to read. And probably quite an easy read. And I don't mean that in like a judgmental way. It's like, you know, the text isn't too small. It's a decent sized book, so hopefully I'll be able to just kind of swallow it whole and actually give you a proper synopsis. when I'm doing my wrap up. And last but not least, a book that I probably can't hold up with one hand, and that is Nosferatu by Joe Hill. I don't actually know if that's how you're supposed to pronounce it, because it says Nosferatu, but I don't know. I can't speak. NOS4R2. Nosferatu. I had online class earlier, so my reading comprehension has just flown away. So Joe Hill wrote a book that I love called The Fireman. I believe he's Stephen King's son. Am I getting that right? I'm sure it's him. I think I've also read the short stories that he wrote, but I also might be pulling that out of my arse. I'm not sure. But I really like The Fireman, and I've heard a lot of good things about Nosferatu, and it was also recently made into a TV series. I haven't watched it, mostly because I did want to read the book first, but it looks really good. Again, I don't know too much about it. I believe that the bad guy is some kind of creepy supernatural... Is he a ghost, or am I just making that up? I don't know. I don't know if he's a ghost or just a guy who's evil, but he like kidnaps kids or whatever and takes them places in his car, and then they die, I think. And I'm sure our main character is someone who survived him and is looking for revenge. I just reread the blurb so that I could remember why I wanted to read it. Yeah, so basically this guy kidnaps children, as I said, and he kidnaps the son of a woman who he once kidnapped years and years and years ago, who survived him, and she is gonna get her kid back, essentially. She's like, this is not happening, you're gonna pay, which is very understandable. It's a chunky boy, pretty heavy, hence why I said I can't really hold it with one hand, but I do like a chunky horror. Like, if you're gonna write me a good in-depth horror, it's gotta be massive. You know what I mean? Like, don't try and put in a whole bunch of world building and then have a tiny book. So, we'll see. But it looks really good. And also I do like this, this edition of it. I didn't buy this one on purpose, this is secondhand, but it's cool. The car is very creepy. And those are the books that I plan to read in October to scare the living daylights out of myself. Right now I'm at the end of September. I'm just looking forward to the whole aesthetic of Halloween. I love a bit of Halloween, as you may have noticed by my decor. And hopefully I'll get another video out at some point this month, possibly talking about some more Halloween stuff, because I'm a big fan. But for now, thank you so much for watching. I'd love if you could like, comment, subscribe. Come talk to me in the comments section or in my socials, which will be linked in the description below. Thank you so much for making it to the end. It's always appreciated, and I will see you next time. Bye!